On graduation day, Ethan insisted on proposing to me in front of the entire faculty and student body. He knelt on one knee, holding a diamond ring, his sincere confession echoing through the assembly hall via the microphone. I, however, felt a chill run down my spine. Sure enough, just as the crowd began to cheer and egg him on, Ethan pulled back the hand that was meant to put the ring on me. He let his best friend rush onto the stage, snatch the bouquet from my hands, and casually toss the ring to the ground. Chloe affectionately draped her arm around Ethan's neck, laughing loudly at the bewildered teachers and faculty below. Just a joke. This ring is a prop, it's just a rehearsal for the graduation performance. The applause in the assembly hall instantly died down. Everyone exchanged bewildered glances, not understanding what was happening. But I knew, this was just another one of Ethan and Aura's grand adventure schemes. Ethan nonchalantly adjusted the collar of his graduation gown. Sophia, I promise to make it up to you with a more formal proposal next time. With that, he instinctively reached out to ruffle my hair. He probably thought I'd obediently bow my head as I always had. But I took a pair of plain band rings from my pocket. Will you choose her, or me? If you're not willing to put this on now, then we're through. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and let us know in the comments where you're listening from. Ethan froze, looking at my serious expression. Are you proposing to me in public, Sophia? Are you really that desperate to get married? Chloe stepped forward, shielding Ethan behind her like a protective mother hen, her words laced with sarcasm. Well, I guess it makes sense. You have no parents left, you have to trap Ethan while you're still young and pretty. Chloe's words pierced my heart like a poisoned dagger, yet Ethan was clearly relieved that she had come to his rescue again, and his gaze towards Chloe was filled with gratitude. I clutched the rings in my hand, staring intently at Ethan. Ethan, you promised you'd marry me after graduation. Ethan sighed helplessly. Sophia, stop making a scene. Aura is just doing this to test my courage. You know, marriage takes a lot of courage, and I'm just not ready yet. Chloe let out a timely sneer, then affectionately tugged on his arm. Come on, Ethan. What's there to say to someone so desperate to get married she's lost her mind? Ethan let her pull him away, walking off without a backward glance, leaving me alone in the center of the assembly hall, facing glances mixed with pity and mockery. For years ago, my parents died in an accident, leaving only Grandpa and me to rely on each other, and to deal with relatives who wanted to divide our assets. At 18, Ethan dared to invest half of the Landry family's assets, just to save my family's failing business and be my support. At 20, he went against everyone's objections for me, merging our two companies and transforming them, propelling the Landry family to the forefront of the industry. But now, at 22, Ethan claimed he didn't have the courage to marry me. As I recalled, Ethan only became timid after Chloe transferred to our school. To train Ethan's courage, Chloe and he set up one adventure after another. At a banquet, Ethan publicly criticized my figure, humiliating me. On the highway, Ethan left me behind to challenge top speeds, nearly getting me killed in a car accident. Their adventure scripts were full of tricks, but I was always the only one who got hurt. I knew Chloe had saved a bullied Ethan when they were kids, but Ethan didn't have any psychological trauma, nor was he weak. He just wanted to spoil Chloe, all to fulfill her childhood promise of "I'll always protect you." I watched Ethan's retreating back, heartbroken and struggling to breathe. Before I could even process it, my hand had already picked up the microphone again. Ethan, after 2 years and thousands of adventures, isn't that enough for you to muster the courage to marry me? Ethan's figure suddenly stiffened. He knew that I wouldn't push him like this if I wasn't truly disappointed. Ethan hesitated, starting to walk towards me, but Chloe grabbed him. She flashed a provocative smile and declared loudly, Ethan, your ultimate adventure awaits. Dare you publicly reject someone you don't love? Ethan didn't answer. Instead, he quickly walked over and pulled me off the stage. Sophia, that's enough. I don't want to embarrass you. I could only offer a bitter smile at his irritated expression. Before I could speak, Chloe's displeased voice cut in first. Ethan, are you just going to brush me off like that? Chloe didn't even need a single tear, she just stood there with her arms crossed, her face etched with displeasure. Ethan immediately relented. He picked up the microphone without hesitation. Sophia, I will not marry you. Not now, not ever. A triumphant smile bloomed on Chloe's face. She reached out and, as if rewarding a pet dog that had followed a command, affectionately ruffled Ethan's hair. Ethan even bent slightly, accommodating her height, allowing her to caress him. Watching this scene, I couldn't help but recall the times I'd strained on tiptoes for a kiss. I had lost, but wasn't done with me yet. Sophia, you've wasted everyone's time. Aren't you going to apologize? I looked at Ethan in disbelief. They started this charade, and now I was expected to apologize to end it? But merely patted my hand, saying dismissively, just do as Aura says and apologize quickly. Seeing his mocking expression, I pulled my hand free from Ethan's. On behalf of my ex-fiancé, and this best friend who interfered in our relationship, I sincerely say to everyone, I'm sorry. The moment the words left my mouth, the audience erupted. Chloe's eyes instantly welled up. Ethan, who had never once raised his voice at me, now had veins bulging on his forehead. He gripped my wrist, the force so great it felt like my bones would be crushed. Ethan lowered his voice and hissed into my ear, Sophia, how dare you slander Aura? Get on your knees and apologize. Don't forget, your comatose grandpa is still lying in a bed at Landry Center. My lips trembled uncontrollably. Ethan knew grandpa was my only family, yet he was threatening grandpa's life. Chloe, sensing her cue, burst into tears. Ethan's gaze at me grew even colder. He forcefully pushed down on my shoulders. I fell to my knees with a thud, excruciating pain shooting through both my knees and my wrist, but it paled in comparison to the despair in my heart. I'm sorry. I was speaking nonsense. Sophia has been under immense mental stress lately and her behavior is abnormal. Ethan withdrew his hand, looking satisfied, and added dismissively. With that, he called security to drag me away, while he anxiously pulled Chloe into his embrace to comfort her. Ethan had me committed to a psychiatric facility. As he left, he told me, reflect on your actions here. If you provoke Aura again, don't blame me for what happens. But the first person to visit me was Chloe. She sat elegantly on the other side of the visitation window, smiling sweetly at me. Sophia, guess what? With the Landry family's top-tier medical resources, why has your grandpa never woken up? My body instantly tensed. When my parents died years ago, normally, grandpa would have borne the family business and its heavy responsibilities. But Arthur had collapsed from shock and never woken up. My distress pleased Chloe. She took out her phone and played a video for me. On screen, several nurses were struggling to hold down Grandpa, who was clearly awake and fighting, injecting him with a sedative. Soon, Grandpa fell back into sleep. No. What are you doing? I shrieked, out of control. An old man so frail, yet it took several nurses to hold him down. I couldn't imagine the desperate struggle he must have put up. Chloe, ho. Weaver, laughed even more delightedly. Your Arthur didn't have to suffer like this, but who told him to overhear Ethan agreeing to pursue you as part of an adventure? Sophia, look at you now. Who would have thought you were once the ice queen everyone in our circle wanted to get close to? If you hadn't been so dazzling, we wouldn't have had to first engineer your family's near bankruptcy, then send a knight to save you. I lunged at the visitation window, pounding frantically on the glass. Chloe, you lunatic. I don't want Ethan anymore. Let me see Grandpa. Chloe readily agreed, and led me to Grandpa's hospital room. The frail old man on the hospital bed was covered in tubes. Trembling, I reached for the doorknob, but pulled out a dagger, stabbed herself, and collapsed into the arms of a rushing Ethan. She spoke weakly, Ethan, Sophia is truly insane. I just wanted to bring her to see Grandpa. Ethan's eyes turned bloodshot. He didn't even listen to my explanation, directly pulling out the dagger and stabbing me in my left shoulder. The wound was not far from my heart. At that moment, Ethan truly wanted me dead. He didn't call anyone to bandage me, he simply threw me back into the psychiatric facility. Sophia, you will atone for your sins here. I propped myself up, defiantly looking into the eyes I once loved so deeply. Ethan, was my grandpa's prolonged coma all you're doing? All to go along with her ridiculous adventure? Ethan looked at me, his expression completely devoid of emotion. Your Arthur is old. Isn't it better for him to rest peacefully like this? Besides, if I hadn't stepped in, your family would have gone bankrupt and been liquidated long ago. Would you even be here today? The wound on my shoulder was still bleeding. Powerless, I could only desperately scratch at the wall with my fingernails, leaving streaks of blood. Ethan looked at me, on the verge of breaking down, and simply stated, self-righteously, you shouldn't have touched O. R.A. When you've come to your senses, then we can talk about marriage. Ethan left, and arranged a series of treatments for me. Intense electrical currents surged through my brain and limbs, making my body convulse uncontrollably with each shock. The endless light therapy was relentless, my vision was reduced to nothing but a scorching, blinding white. My body was pushed to the brink of collapse with each treatment, but I couldn't lose my mind. I had to get out. Grandpa was still waiting for me. Ethan never visited me again, but made sure someone sent me intimate photos of them every day. One day, she sent someone to deliver a newspaper to me. The front page headline was about the Landry family launching a new AI chat software, accompanied by a photo of Chloe and Ethan standing side by side at the launch event. The software was named Aura. I tore the newspaper to shreds, because that software was the culmination of 4 years of my hard work. When I stayed up late researching for its development, it was Ethan who brewed calming tea for me. During testing, when I wrote mountains of code, it was Ethan who tenderly kissed my hand and massaged my wrist. I had thought Ethan and I were working towards the same goal. All that hard work, those were irreplaceable, hopeful, sweet memories we shared. But I never imagined that this, too, was one of their adventures. The man who delivered the newspaper didn't leave. He opened my door. "Miss, the master sent me to pick you up. We need to go quickly." I hesitated, but I had no other choice. I followed him to the hospital. Grandpa's mental state seemed to improve when he saw me in the hospital room. "Grandpa." I rushed over to hug Grandpa, but he slipped a USB drive into my hand. "Go quickly. Our people can't hold out much longer. Sophia, you must be safe." I frantically clutched his withered sleeve, tears streaming down my face. "No, Grandpa, we'll go together." "Grandpa." "Foolish girl." Grandpa gasped suddenly, using all high strength to push my hand away. "As long as I'm here, you'll always have a weakness for him to exploit. Go." He abruptly pushed me towards the bodyguard, then resolutely turned away. "No." I let out a gut-wrenching scream. Grandpa looked at me one last time, a faint smile on his aged face. The next second, he leaped. The window was empty. My world crumbled before my eyes. The man holding me was also in tears, but he dragged me away nonetheless. Ethan, who had just arrived, saw Grandpa fall. Suddenly, he felt a string snap inside him. Ethan rushed into the hospital room, finding it empty. His face changed drastically. He then drove straight to the psychiatric facility, kicking open my door. It, too, was empty. Ethan grabbed the collar of the doctor in charge of my supervision, his voice trembling with rage and fear. "Where is Sophia? How could you let her out of your sight? Speak." Chloe grabbed the almost unhinged Ethan from behind, hugging him tightly. "Ethan, don't worry. Where could an orphaned girl like her possibly run off to?" Hearing's words, Ethan, whose mind had been clouded by panic, calmed down for a moment. Sophia had no money or power now. Where could she go? Ethan's tense expression eased slightly, but he didn't even glance at Chloe. He shook off Chloe's arm wrapped around his waist, panting as he dialed a number: "Block off the airport and highway exits. Find, no matter what." But had vanished without a trace. Ethan used all his connections but couldn't find any sign of her. Chloe watched Ethan continuously answering and making calls. That unconscious disregard stung her. Chloe asked coldly, "The family's assets have been successfully absorbed. Our goal was achieved long ago. Ethan, do you or do you not like me? If you do, why are you still looking for her? If you don't, then why did you go through with my adventures?" Ethan was momentarily stunned by her questions, speechless. Why? Sophia back then was like the pure moonlight, who wouldn't want to touch it? So when Chloe proposed that adventure, he had half-heartedly agreed. But once he'd plucked the moon, he stopped cherishing it. It wasn't until he personally witnessed Grandpa's resolute leap that Ethan felt a crushing terror. He knew all too well that the old man was Sophia's last remaining connection in this world. Sophia might appear cold on the outside, but she valued loyalty more than anyone. Otherwise, she wouldn't have tolerated him for so long just because he once helped her. Recalling's pale face as she lay in the hospital bed after those adventures, Ethan's heart felt like it was being squeezed tightly. An inexplicable irritation replaced his earlier panic. He looked at Chloe, his eyes turning cold. "We're just best friends. You said it yourself." Chloe was choked by his words, her blood boiling. "Ethan, are you playing with me?" Ethan ignored Chloe, his mind filled with every little memory of Sophia. With her only family gone in such a tragic way, what would Sophia do? Ethan turned and looked out the window. A line of bodyguards had already surrounded Grandpa's gruesome corpse, setting up a police line. Ethan ordered his people to collect the body and announced that a funeral would be held for Grandpa. He was certain Sophia would come to bid her Grandpa farewell, no matter what. A hint of anticipation actually rose in Ethan's heart. He had already decided to overlook her slandering and stabbing Chloe. Once he sweet-talked Sophia, they would surely be back to how they were. Chloe watched the distracted Ethan, suppressing the surging jealousy in her heart. "Ethan, you still don't understand Sophia." Ethan's brows immediately furrowed. "What do you mean?" Chloe sighed softly. "Sophia is just a young girl throwing a tantrum, wanting to make you anxious, make you regret. Just announce our engagement at the funeral, she'll be jealous and angry, and she'll definitely come back. Ethan instinctively wanted to refute her, but he remembered Sophia, who used to cling to his side and couldn't be chased away. A surge of confidence welled up inside him. You're right. She definitely can't stand the thought of me marrying someone else. Ethan arranged a grand funeral, inviting only prominent figures. He himself stood with a solemn and grief-stricken demeanor, as if he were the legitimate grandson-in-law. Chloe, in a white wedding gown and high heels, walked directly towards Ethan, who stood at the very front of the memorial hall. Amidst the astonished gazes and whispers of the assembled guests, Chloe smiled and linked her arm through Ethan's. Ethan then grandly announced, "Today is not only Grandpa's funeral but also Chloe and my engagement ceremony. Thank you all for attending." When the news of Ethan and Chloe's engagement at Grandpa's funeral reached me, my heart felt like it was being ripped apart. I was so unfilial, not only unable to attend Grandpa's funeral, but also allowing those two scoundrels to insult him. My nails dug deep into my palms. I secretly swore that I would make them pay the price they deserved. 3 years flashed by in an instant. When I learned that Ethan would be entering Aura in the international AI competition, I knew my chance had come, and I signed up without hesitation. As soon as I boarded the plane, I saw Liam, who shouldn't have been there, in the seat next to mine. I sighed helplessly and sat down beside him. Didn't we agree you'd wait for me at home? Hearing this, Liam raised a handsome eyebrow, retorting self-righteously, how could I? Your cognito AI is named after me. It's like our child. How can a father not be there when his child is competing? My heart warmed at his words, but I deliberately put on a stern face. Then you can't stick to me. We haven't gone public yet. Liam pouted. Though reluctant, he nodded. Liam was my boss and my lover. 3 years ago, I fled the country in disgrace, penniless. I could only earn a meager living by writing code on the underground ND market. My code was accidentally discovered by Liam, who then recruited me into his company. That gave me the opportunity to develop new software. After returning to the country, Liam and I parted ways, and I went alone to the hotel designated for the competition. As soon as I reached the front desk, I saw two familiar figures. Ethan immediately recognized me. He gripped my wrist without a word, saying, Sophia, I knew you couldn't let go of Aura. Couldn't let go of me. Just come back, and I can add your name as a creator of Aura. I pulled my hand back expressionlessly. Aura? That name sounds like it has nothing to do with me. Chloe, standing nearby, let out a sneer. Sophia, who are you trying to fool with this virtuous act? Rushing back so frantically, isn't it just so you can bask in Aura's glory and get a share once it wins an award? I met her challenging gaze with a cold laugh. It's a defective product. You stole it, so you stole it. I'm competing as the creator of Cognito AI. Chloe, however, burst into laughter as if she'd heard a joke. Sophia, if you want to provoke us, you don't need to tell such an easily debunked lie. Ethan also frowned deeply, his tone displeased. Sophia, the gray isn't something we can casually attach ourselves to. If you use their name falsely and get caught, I won't be able to protect you. I couldn't believe that after 3 years, these two were still so brainless. I ignored them, took my room key, and quickly walked towards the elevator. Ethan knew my capabilities. Watching my confident retreating back, an inexplicable flicker of panic shot through him. Ethan instinctively wanted to chase after me, but Chloe gripped his arm tightly. Ethan, are you really going to go head-to-head with the Grey for Sophia? Just wait for Sophia to get into real trouble, then you can pull some strings to save her. Won't she just come running back to you then? Ethan's steps indeed halted, playing the hero saving the damsel in distress. It was his usual trick. The AI competition was broadcast live. Scores were calculated based on an AI's response time and accuracy when answering questions. Before my Cognito AI made its debut, Ethan's Aura was indeed leading with the highest score. Looking at the scoreboard, Ethan and Chloe exchanged smiles, confident they had the grand prize in the bag. But the moment I stepped onto the stage and activated Cognito AI, both of them froze. They couldn't believe that I was actually the creator of Cognito AI. I skillfully entered the activation code. Facing the questions, Cognito AI's response speed and completeness of answers completely crushed Aura's. I undoubtedly achieved the highest score. Just as the judge was about to announce the rankings, Ethan suddenly stood up and interrupted him. Judge, I'd like to report something. The contestant Sophia's work, Cognito AI, is suspected of plagiarism. With that, he walked onto the stage and entered the same string of code to activate Aura. Everyone, please look. The code she just entered is completely identical to my Aura's code. Ethan's face showed just the right amount of helplessness. To be frank, Sophia was once my fiancée. But 3 years ago, she stole Aura's core data and disappeared without a word. I never imagined she would dare to use stolen code, disguised, to compete today. Whispers erupted in the audience. I think I heard about this. The Landry family even gave Grandpa a grand funeral back then. What? Then is really despicable. I gave Liam in the front row a reassuring look, then calmly countered, if that's the case, then Cognito AI shouldn't be able to surpass Aura, right? How about we let the two AIs question each other and compare? Ethan's face went pale. He instinctively wanted to refuse. He knew better than anyone the limits of Aura. Before could speak, Liam stepped forward. Mr. Ethan, since you're so confident, let's have a competition. Our corporation absolutely does not tolerate plagiarism. Hearing this, Ethan had a change of heart. All the research data and backups were in his possession. Even if he lost, he could still prove that the code belonged to him. Alright, whatever Mr. Liam says. The competition began. Ethan's Aura could keep up with Cognito AI's questioning speed at first, but as the difficulty of the questions increased, its response speed slowed to an almost complete halt. The outcome of the match was clear. Without waiting for Ethan to react, I played a video and asked, what crimes did the people in this video commit? The video played on the large screen, broadcasting live to the entire world. On screen, Ethan expressionlessly motioned to the medical staff, who forcefully restrained Grandpa's struggling arms and injected him with an unknown drug. Chloe, with a morbid fascination, operated an electroshock therapy device, electrocuting me as I writhed in agony. And there was Chloe stabbing herself outside the hospital room, then framing me. The entire hall erupted in uproar. No. Turn it off. Turn it off now. That's fake. Chloe let out a blood-curdling scream, rushing towards the podium like a madwoman, trying to cover the screen with her body. Ethan was still trying to maintain his composure. Sophia. I never imagined. To get revenge for me exposing your plagiarism, you would actually forge a synthesized video to slander Chloe and me. He frantically looked at Liam, pleading, Mr. Liam, don't believe her. I have Aura's complete research data and logs. The video is fake. Sophia is a complete liar. Tisk. Liam interrupted him with an impatient scoff. He cleanly lifted his foot and kicked Ethan in the back of the knee. Ethan, caught off guard, crashed onto the floor on both knees, kneeling before me in a profoundly humiliating posture. Liam looked down at him as if he were a pile of trash. Ethan, why would I believe you over my own wife? Ethan looked at me in disbelief, muttering, impossible. When did you get involved with the Grey? No. His dream of being a hero saving the damsel in distress shattered instantly, but Ethan reacted swiftly. He scrambled on his hands and knees to my feet, desperately clinging to my leg. Sophia, it was all that venomous woman Chloe forcing me. She wanted me to wait until the Grey pursued you, and you were desperate, before I stepped in to save you. She threatened me with Aura, she blackmailed me with your hard work. Hearing this, Chloe suddenly lifted her head. She lunged and started hitting Ethan. Ethan, you coward. You were the one who coveted the Summers family's assets. You said you'd marry me once you absorbed the Summers family. And what happened? You never truly let go of Sophia. Ethan was being beaten disheveled. He forcefully pushed her away. Then he turned his sincere gaze to me, attempting to grasp my hand. Sophia, you know I love you. It was Chloe who designed those cursed adventures to trick me and brainwash me. I truly know I was wrong. Please, for the sake of our past, forgive me this one time, okay? Seeing beg for my forgiveness so desperately, completely ignoring her, Chloe's sanity completely snapped. She laughed wildly, pointing at Ethan. Ethan, have you forgotten how Sophia's grandpa died? You actually think she'd forgive you? So what if I instigated it? You were the one who acted. You were the one who signed. The death's on your conscience, the sentence you'll receive, will only be more severe than mine. Shut up. Ethan was enraged by Chloe's words. He raised his hand and harshly slapped Chloe across the face. Chloe was knocked to the ground, blood immediately seeping from the corner of her mouth. Yet she seemed to feel no pain, looking at me with a sinister grin and saying, Sophia. Ethan committed tax evasion, falsified accounts, and illegally transferred assets. All the ledgers and secret contracts are hidden in a secret compartment in his study. Ethan's face instantly went ashen. He glared at Chloe, his eyes bloods. Hot, Chloe. You lunatic. May you die a horrible death. I indifferently stepped back a few paces, coldly watching Ethan and Chloe tear into each other. Only a cold weariness remained in my heart. Liam keenly sensed my impatience. He stepped forward and pulled me into his embrace. the police will be here soon. This place isn't worth any more of your emotions. Let's go. We turned to leave, but Ethan lunged forward again, collapsing heavily at my feet. Sophia, please give me one more chance. I'll spend the rest of my life atoning to you. I looked down at the man who had once captivated my heart and then destroyed everything I had. There was no hatred in my eyes, only a profound calmness. I waved for the bodyguards to drag him away, my voice barely a whisper. Atonement? Ethan, you disgust me with your hypocrisy. You don't even deserve to atone for me. With that, I linked my arm through Liam's and walked away without looking back. Ethan and Chloe were eventually brought to justice. Knowing that Chloe's sentence would be lighter, Ethan, using means unknown to me, managed to have Chloe sent to the same psychiatric facility where they had once confined me. Ethan was ultimately sentenced to life imprisonment. For a man like him, death would have been an easy escape. Endless imprisonment was the most fitting punishment. During his incarceration, he repeatedly requested to see me, but all his pleas were flatly refused. Later, he had someone deliver a sealed box and a letter to me. I recognized the hair clip inside the box as the one Ethan had given me at my parents' funeral when I was 18. Perhaps he had truly loved me once, but that sliver of love was too insignificant compared to the pain he inflicted. I didn't take the hair clip, nor did I even open the letter. Ethan, and everything associated with him, meant nothing to me anymore. Subsequently, came the liquidation of the Landry family's assets after their bankruptcy. With his help, I rightfully reclaimed all T. He assets that originally belonged to the Summers family. One crisp morning, after the dust had settled, Liam and I visited my family's graves. Grandpa's smile in the tombstone photo was still as kind as ever. I gently placed a bouquet of white chrysanthemums down. Grandpa, your once thoughtless and worrying granddaughter is no longer wayward. I've taken back everything for our Summers family, protecting the legacy you and Mom and Dad worked so hard for. The man beside me, his name is Liam. He makes me believe that this world is still worth loving. Please rest assured, he is the one I can entrust my life to. The wind blew gently, like Grandpa's comforting reply. Liam also squeezed my hand tightly, leading me towards our shared future. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.